What's up, sports fans, and welcome back to another episode of Pez's Pick. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by the man with the picks, Pez himself. What's up, Pez? How are you?
Big week, Jeff. Big week for you, Fairways and Dreams, and the golf community, your
Yes.
podcast. And big. I'd like to say a big week for gambling. I hope it is. A very difficult thing we'll get into in a couple minutes, but a lot of fun. I mean, a lot of fun to gamble. Baseball, basketball. I don't think we missed a pick all week. I think we only had four of them. Um, we'll get to this, but we're taking tonight off. We're taping Wednesday afternoon. This series is insane. The amount you would have thought it was a blowout for the Thunder on their last game. They were given 11.5. It came down to like the last 20 seconds again. They were up 50 at one point, I think, and whatever it may be, they have nailed this series, and the lines are tight. And we're going to lay this one off and see how things go in Indiana. Sometimes this line's scaring us, to be quite honest with you. They're getting 5. Seems like when you're getting 11.5, it drops to 5. Maybe Vegas knows something, and we're gonna take a look at this game tonight and learn from it. You can't bet every game. This is the Pez's Picks motto, right? You can't. We're 18-10 now on the NBA, and we're proud of that number. And we're hoping to get to 20-10 by the end of this series and finish playoffs at 66%. I mean, we'll be proud of that one.
Sometimes you have to know when to lay off, is what I've learned since we've done this podcast. And I think that's what we're doing with the NBA finals at times. And we'll do it with baseball as well. It's a long season, but with the US Open, and that's when everything else is kind of down, right? I mean, there's not a lot of action going on. The US Open comes up every Father's Day weekend, and this time they're at Oakmont. Pez, they are talking about some diabolical conditions. The rough is lengthy. It is thick. The greens are going to be rolling over 15 on the stent meter. The greens are undulating. There's bunkers. There's no tree on. There's one tree on the entire premise. But you know what? It's going to be tough. I want to ask you first and foremost, as a fan of golf and watching golf, do you prefer to watch them suffer, or do you rather see a nice fair test? That's a good question, I think.
Well, from a fan and a gambling perspective, the tougher the course, the cream rises to the top, right?
Yes.
And I mean, this course, especially 10th, this marks the 10th time they're going to be hosting US Open. 4.63 over par is the average per round. I mean, that's unheralded, right? I mean, you can't duplicate the pain that's going to happen, which I believe means the best golfers are going to come out and the best golfers are going to win. We know from the results, it's legends that have won at this course. So a seemingly easy thing to bet on, but not really. I don't think many legends are playing well right now. Scotty Scheffler, we put a video out this morning. He should win, right? I mean, there's nothing you could argue why not to take Scotty Scheffler except his odds. Plus 280 when you have a field. I think it's over 150 if I'm right, or it's close to that. Picking one horse out of 150, even the best, we're talking margins of one shot a day could determine the winner of this and maybe less than that. So, of course, you can take them. You're putting a lot of money out there to get 280 on 100. So I don't know if that's a great bet, but the legends right now, far and few are playing great coming into this tournament. I guess you could argue John Rahm. I guess you could argue. Well, I don't know if you can argue Rory, right? I mean, this guy appears to be in a tailspin meltdown. I don't know what you'd think after winning the Masters. He would be happy, Rory. This would be good times. He'd be coming in free. He'd start lining these things up. What was he, plus 11 last week to miss the cut in Canada?
He shot a 78. He shot a 78 on Friday with a snowman, an 8 on a par 4.
It looked like my car, Jeff, but that's the front 9, right? But for him, that course is easy. I mean, I watch this stuff. You do. It's wide open. The ball carries more at that altitude. And his driver, I don't know. He admitted. He goes, I don't really have the motivation. What's up with this guy? He wins one more major, and he's done? I mean, I guess we could argue an all-time great. I mean, he's got, 5, 6 majors now? The Grand Slam. So, I mean, that's a very rare thing. But he doesn't seem to be coming into this as the Masters champion. Shambo could easily win. But aside from that, everybody else is kind of limping into this tournament. So to answer your question, I love – this is going to eliminate – Brooks Koepka said this a while back. When you go into the U.S. Open or really any major, more than half the field, they ain't winning this tournament. He said that. He goes, I get pumped up for the majors because I know there's maybe 20, 25 guys that have a legitimate chance. And that number might be even lower in this tournament. So from a gambling perspective, I think there's value out there. And we're looking at a couple. Shane Lowry, I love him. I believe he's getting plus 4,000 right now. A guy whose numbers coming into this tournament are close to top 5 of everything. He ranks 3rd in the PGA Tour with just about everything. Putting late in tournaments. This guy, his game is major capable. He's won a major. Plus 4,000. You're laying $10 to win 400, $5 to win 200. I think that's a reasonable bet to make. And Sepp Straka, plus 5,000. I can't believe it. This guy, his numbers, you have to wonder sometimes where these lines are coming from. But he's playing 1.3 shots better than he has previously in his career this year. 11th in the field over his last 50 rounds. I mean, this guy, top 12 iron player, 3rd in approach, putting, he's 11th. He hits the ball down the middle off the tee. I love his game right now. I think a Sepp Straka U.S. Open champion, the name sounds weird, but I love those chances. $10 to win 500. When are you getting $10 to win 500? I think he's won twice this year. So our 2 horses, Lowry, Straka, and we got some good prop bets. We'll get your answers on who you're liking, Jeff. And then we got some funny prop bets we're putting in.
Well, I'll tag on to what you said. I'm not a fan of the Lowry play. The reason why, since the Masters, he has folded like a cheap lawn chair on the weekends. Even the RBC Canadian last week, at one point, I pull up my phone on ESPN. I'm like, oh my gosh, Shane Lowry is leading at 15 under. And while everyone else, the leaders had just teed off on Sunday, but he just started to melt down again on the weekend, and he ends up finishing tied for 13th. And so I like Lowry, but I like him as a top 20, which is still plus 300 odds. I think he's going to play well enough. Yeah. Here's the name for you. I really like the Sepp Straka. I got to add that. I like that play. Sepp Straka hits it straight. He's going to hit fairways. If he can make putts, this guy's going to be tough to beat. He is a big hulking guy, and everyone makes Oakmont sound like it's so long. It's 7,300 yards. These are average numbers on the PGA Tour. They have long holes. There's a 289-yard par 3. There's a 600-yard par 5. There's 500-plus yard par 4s. But the course in and of itself is not crazy distance. You don't have to be a long ball hitter. You need to be accurate. So I like your Sepp Straka play at plus 5,000. I'll give you another long shot. Tell me why I shouldn't throw a $5, $10 bet on Ben Griffin at plus 7,000. He's won twice on tour already. He drives it well, and the guy's putting out of his mind right now.
Aside from Scheffler, probably the hottest guy in the world in the golf.
Exactly.
Right. A guy came from nowhere. I like his game. The guy looks a little nerdy, Jeff, but this guy's got balls, right? This guy, he goes out with the mirror aviators. I know he had some eye issues, and but he's got some sort of, I don't know his background, but my prediction is this guy is a rich Southern boy who's got some balls too, right? To do what he's been doing, this is a tough dude.
He's got some moxie, Pez. He's got some moxie.
He's got to. Carolina boy. I learned, Jeff. I'm not a fighter, but I've been to the country boy areas. You don't fight with country boys. So, I like him. Not a bad bet. I agree with Straka. You're going to need some muscle. We're talking rough. I think I sent it to you. I don't know if I did, but Johnny Vegas, PGA Tour, pro, he takes a video on Monday of them cutting the lawn. And he goes, whoa, they felt bad for us. They're trimming the rough. I thought, what the hell? This is a fraud. Then I listened to the groundskeeper. They're trimming the rough to make it harder, Jeff. And I learned all about grass, right? So if you I live on a beach island here, so I have a plot of grass that I hope dies every year, so I don't have to go out there and mow it. But my grass, I let it grow, and it gets loose and frilly, kind of like long hairish in a way. He said to maintain thickness in 5-inch rough, you got to do short trims, Jeff. So this is going to be brutal. You're going to have the mental game. You're going to have muscle. I know we talked about it. I'm around a 20 handicap. Pros think you'd be lucky to break 130. They said a touring pro will be lucky to wedge balls out of the rough, just get it back on the fairway 100 yards. So you're going to need You're going to need muscle. You're going to need stamina. And I think that eliminates the field and shortens it. I wish I could say I have faith in the Brooks Koepka. I don't know if his game's there anymore. DJ, another guy who's had success here. I don't know if his game's there anymore. So Sepp Straka, a Lowry, beefy dudes, winners on the tour, but at the end of the day,
let me tell you one more thing about Sepp. He's patient. He's not a guy that's going to get flustered. It's the same with Scotty Scheffler. Are these guys going to be able to say, this lie is god awful, I'm going to take my medicine and I'm going to punch it into the fairway on a par 4, and I'm going to try and get up and down? And then that throws into how good is their short game. You know who I don't trust their short game is Rory McIlroy. He's driving it all over God's green earth. His wedge play's not been good, and he can't make a putt when it matters the most. I'm not touching Rory McIlroy in the U.S. Open. Not at all. Not
a chance. A flyer guy who I think his numbers are there too. Keegan Bradley, plus 8,000.
Captain Keegan, yeah.
The more this season goes on, he may have to put himself on that Ryder Cup as a player and a captain, right? He is playing as good as anybody. Another former champ and a guy that, or former major champ. I don't think he didn't win the Open, did he, Jeff? I know he won a major.
I think he might have. He's won a major. I think he might have been a PGA. I'll check on that.
But he plus 8,000, big dude, Vermont kid, tough, strong, and really, I think he's playing on borrowed money. His game is loose. He got the kind of, I apologize for not taking you on the last Ryder Cup when he got screwed, and he's captain, and he's playing as good a golf as I think he's ever played. And like we talked about, I think aside from Scheffler, you want to throw Shambo in there, I accept that. But aside from those two guys, the door's open. I mean, we're not going into it in the years where Spieth, Thomas, Fowler, DJ Koepka, these guys were playing, Rahm even top of their game. Another bet we put out earlier this week, Phil Mickelson to make the cut, plus 135. I love it, Jeff. He looked better than he has in years last week. He's talked about this could be my last U.S. Open, which it's going to be unless I'm not sure. If you finish top 5, do you get in next year?
Yes,
top 10?
I think you do qualify at.
We know this guy doesn't want to go away. We're taking him top 5 plus 5,000. It's a Legends course. If his game is what it was when he won about 4 years ago or 5 years ago, his last major, he's going to be in the mix, right? And this guy can pound the ball. He's got his short game, unparalleled. I mean, he might be, top 3 short game guy ever. He hit his magic wedge shot last week, the flop and at the live, and he seems motivated. I think Phil Mickelson, like any legend, when they're motivated, there's magic there. A guy, he has just as good a chance to win probably as half the field right now, right? So I'll take those odds as well. We might have to put a Keegan Bradley bet out there after we're talking about it, Jeff. I'm getting pumped up. Might have to put Keegan out there, but
so Keegan Bradley did win the PGA Championship. I knew it was the PGA. I thought it was 2011 at the Atlanta Club. So he's won that. He's won a major there. There's 156 golfers in the field at this U.S. Open. I'll give you a couple other plays that I like. I've had a lot of success with the top 5, top 10, top 20 plays. You can get plus odds with Bryson DeChambeau at top 5, plus 160. Not great odds, but still. Bryson DeChambeau, outside of a missed cut at the Open Championship last year in the majors in 2025 and 2024, the worst finish he's had is 6th. So he missed the cut at the Open, the British Open, as I still call it. Other than that, the guy is always in the top of the leaderboard. Sure. So I like that better. I still can't believe he's getting plus odds in the top 5. I don't know about you, but I like top 10 Ludwig Oberg at plus 260. I think his game's starting to come around. And then I told you I like Shane Lowry plus 300, top 20. I think that he's a good golfer. He's not going to fall off the face of the earth. But what are some of your prop plays that you saw?
Well, you could take, we're getting into kind of danger area here, but any Scheffler, Shambo, McIlroy, or Rahm to win against the field.
Oh, big guns versus
minus 130. Not a bad play. I mean, the way I look at that is a little bit worse than even money. We don't love those plays because you're reducing your chances and you're reducing your payout. Winner without Scotty Scheffler. I'm gonna tell people stay away from this, Jeff. I mean, you're taking bait when you take a casino. They're not giving you anything here. I mean, just take the guys anyway. If Scheffler wins, he's gonna win. So I don't like that. Winner without Shambo, not something that I would jump on too. Top five, I mean, I do like some of these. Colin Morikawa plus 360, top five, kind of like that. A double major winner. I
Xander
think
Schauffele had the same odds top 5 plus 360 that I saw. He's a guy that's threatening Jack Nicklaus and Sam Snead's record for most consecutive cuts made at a major tournament. And his game is starting to come around as well after his injury. I like Xander top 5.
tough to go into this open with that rough though, and I believe wrist injury, correct? I mean
He had
that's
ribs. It was his ribs
oh
or something.
ribs. Any injury. I mean, you're going up against a heavyweight. These guys are going into this is George Foreman, Muhammad Ali. It's not even Mike Tyson. You're going
That's
against
true.
a monster heavyweight. Did you know, Jeff, that this Oakmont, Pez's Picks, we research everything. The locker room has in their lockers a secret storage compartment for alcohol during Prohibition.
Yes.
This is Pennsylvania in its glory, right? I mean, Pittsburgh and Philly, you can't get better towns. I wonder, are they hiding alcohol in there, Jeff? I don't know. And you share a locker with a member. Who would join this course? You must get destroyed out there on a daily basis. I conferred with our golf analyst, the six-string punter from JMU 20 years ago. He said the guy that designed this course, he went out and he said, where do the balls go most likely? He put in ditches and traps to lure the ball in. So you kind of have to play a little bit of a non-traditional style. I think iron play, even more than driving, is going to be what win this tournament. And Morikawa, one of the elite iron players in the world, plus 360. I did see a video of him in a practice round yesterday or the day before using driver on that 289 par 3, Jeff. So, I mean, that tells me it's an accuracy course. And from what I read, the hardest putting greens in the history of the world, right? I mean, these greens. Yeah. So does that hurt Scheffler? We'll find out. Scotty Scheffler, the Masters greens, they're difficult. But I think once you know where to put the ball, it's a different situation. An elite putter is going to have to win this tournament. Maybe I shouldn't say that DJ did win there, but we'll find out, is Scheffler as perfect as he seems right now? And that, it'll be fun to watch. Are we chasing Scheffler? I believe so. It's kind of back to Tiger Woods a little bit here. You have one guy in the clouds and everybody else is kind of on earth. And, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a great tournament. I can't wait, Jeff. We'll put plays out throughout. After round 1 and 2, we'll probably have a little bit better feel, and we'll be adding plays out throughout the tournament as well.
I saw a stat that this was Scotty at plus 275 or 280, depending on the book you're looking at. Those are the slimmest odds since Tiger in 2009.
I mean, I'm shocked that they're that high, to be honest with you. And I wonder, are there some calculations about the course maybe not meeting its game a little bit? His driver has been a little weak, right? I mean, he's still winning.
Yeah.
He's been driving it in the rough a lot, but I don't think you can drive it in the rough and advance to hit birdies. And what I'm thinking, a score of maybe 3 under could win this thing. And I know that it's rare to get more than 3 or 4 under, and I'm not sure too much about how the wind's going to affect things, but I think it's going to be a fun tournament. I like when they whine, Jeff. I love when these guys go out and they whine. They say the course is too hard. I can't wait for that. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I can't wait.
Well, this is the last thing we'll say before we move on from the US Open. There's a lot of fans out there that say, like, why do people want this? And why don't they want the scoring to be better? Scotty Scheffler put it best when he said, listen, he compares it to tennis, and that every single tennis major in the Grand Slam is a different surface. Wimbledon is grass. You have the clay. You've got the hard court of the US Open. He said, it's very similar in golf. The Masters is the Masters. It is manicured. There's no rough. They have pine straw. It's difficult, but it's the slopes. It's the undulations. You have to know where to put the golf ball, where to miss it. He said the U.S. Open is supposed to be punishing. The rough is going to be long. The greens are going to be lightning fast. That's what they expect. The Open Championship is link style. It's a totally different game over there. And PGA Championships, because it's kind of like an offshoot. We'll just throw that away. But still,
sure,
it's going to be fun. It's going to be I hope it's an exciting tournament. That's what I hope. Last year, Pinehurst #2 was awesome. That finish with Rory choking down the stretch and Bryson DeChambeau with the bunker shot and the up and down. I hope we get a finish like that. That would be fantastic.
It looks like we could get a little rain.
Okay.
In the Pittsburgh area, there's calls for possible rain. It doesn't look like day enders, but spritzes. I did get a little local knowledge. The morning guys, especially tomorrow, are going to have a much harder time playing out of the rough. When that rough is wet, it's almost impossible. So, the thinking was tomorrow's morning starters are already in the hole. Afternoon guys are going to have a little bit of advantage. And, if we get, Friday calling for a little rain at night, so maybe Saturday morning similar. So I think whoever's leading Friday is going to have a huge advantage Friday afternoon. Friday afternoon, it's going to be tough to catch up on this course, tough to make birdies. So I love it, Jeff. It's a survival. It's like a Tour de France. I mean, this is going to kill somebody. I can't wait. I wish we were going, Jeff. We should be.
Yeah,
there.
we should be. We should be. All right, let's touch on the NBA and baseball quickly before we talk about some NFL news. And then we're going to do a new feature. We're going to answer some listener or viewer questions, both from Instagram and other avenues. So, what are your thoughts on the NBA Finals and baseball?
I mean, first off, Jeff, is it relevant? I mean, the NBA, I'm not sure. The playoffs have been great, but we're taking 3-4 days between games. We're pushing July 4th, and we're only 2 games into this thing. I'm not sure what the NBA is doing. I'm in a resort town. I don't see jerseys around anymore on these young guys' back, Jeff. There's no more Iverson jerseys walking around the Philadelphia and the Jersey Shore area. So it's relevant to us, but I wonder the direction of the NBA and if we can make some changes. Having said that, a tough game, and 5.5 Indiana tonight. We hit game 1. We took Indiana. We're real proud of that. 9.5. We were getting an outright dog winner. I mean, we love that in the gambling world. We took the Thunder quarter 1, second game, easy one. We could have taken anything with the Thunder, but still close, right? So tonight, I think we're going to learn who's going to win this series. If Indiana can win, I think that says they could win this series. And if they get blown out, then I don't know what to tell. So at times in basketball or any sport, aside from the Super Bowl, you got to bet the Super Bowl. Aside from that, I think it's important to watch games, collect your data, collect your information. You can't chase your money, especially in basketball. You can't just bet every game. People ask us, why are you betting this game? Well, we're not betting. We're trying to invest. And tonight, I just don't see an advantage either way. If Halliburton, and he's the best player on Indiana, if people don't know, a guy he's a gunslinger. When he's open, he hits shots. Hasn't been able to do that a lot in this series. Thunder have some long, good defensive players. So great coach over there in Indiana. If he can figure out some new screens and stuff, I kind of like their chances. But I'm not gonna tell anybody to invest money on this. Betting against the Thunder, I don't know. That to me, that's like betting against Pittsburgh when they're playing at home, Jeff. It's just something stupid. You just shouldn't do it. It's a very rare thing to happen, so we ain't doing it. And
okay,
baseball, we'll be picking up more steam as we go. A difficult baseball year. When you look at the results of these teams, and aside from Aaron Judge and a couple other guys, it's a very difficult thing to pick right now. A lot of series are getting split, and we're trying to balance of course, we would like to take a team that's, laying 400 to 1. We're not going to put that out there, right? If a team is 100, bet 400 to win 100, likely they're going to win, but that's too much of a risk, I think in June baseball, really at any time. There are better deals out there. We're going to keep finding them. We had a big win, Boston Red Sox over the Yankees Saturday night. We like to find bets where you're going to get money back and plus bets, whatever you want to call them. We'll keep looking, and we're going to get more dialed in once this June and July get going. There's nothing else for us to do, so we'll be all over it at that point.
All right. Now let's transition because we're going to talk about some of these topics that we had on the docket in this new feature, the question and answer. Might not do this every week, but if we've have the time and we have the questions, we're going to answer them. So on our Instagram feed, which you can find us on social media, wherever Instagram, Twitter, mainly at Pez's Picks, PEZS. PICKS. And so Flying Pinnell, they wanted us to talk about the College World Series. Pez, you following the College World Series at all and the trip to Omaha?
So, Jeff, a little bit. We took a look at it. We've got some connections with some former college pitchers, and we are not, Jeff. I think College World Series, I have some experience. It's like betting on Japanese baseball, Jeff. Japanese baseball is wild. I mean, the runs, the hits, you got. I don't think you should bet baseball with metal bats. When there are metal bats involved, I think it's an entirely different game. There's a reason they don't let them into the major leagues. A guy that might hit a base hit with a wooden bat with these metal $1,000, $2,000 bats can jack one out. Too much risk in college baseball. If you go to the school or something, bet your own team, right? Let's have some fun with it. Other problem I have with college baseball, Jeff, they made the bases. There's 2 bases at first base. What is this? This is America, Jeff. There's 1 first base. If you're going to clean a guy, oh, well, I mean, this is part of the game, right? I can't believe they did that. That's turned me off from college baseball. I can't take it, Jeff. That to me is a disaster that people say, well, what do you want to get spiked? Well, no, but nobody does. That's part of the risk playing first. You got to figure out, get your foot on the end of the bag. Anyway, I would recommend not betting college baseball. Very unpredictable thing.
All right. Let's go to Joe Silver T. He said he wants to know the origin story of Pez's Picks, the humble beginnings into what it's become now.
Well, great question, Jeff. It started when I was in 6th grade. I'll drop his name. A good buddy of mine, Mike Gambone, not an Irish guy, Jeff. He starts bringing in these slips from his dad's friends. We've talked about this about a year or 2 ago. Union cards,
Yeah.
they call them. You give the kid $2. You bet 5 games on Sunday. If you hit all 5, I don't know, we got like 15 or 20 back. That started our betting career. I was in fantasy football leagues when we were doing it on paper. In 9th grade, we began betting on Tecmo Bowl, Jeff. So I'm going to date myself. I did turn 50 this year. So my betting roots go to living outside of Philly. I had a lot of my family wasn't this, but a lot of blue collar dads. Gambling was part of the community. And as we got older, we got more involved in this. We had more friends involved in contacting bookmakers, and then maybe running our own books, Jeff. So where we really originated Pez's Picks is when we really got on the side of the ones setting the lines and not calling them in. I think that's when you really learn about gambling, especially sports gambling. When you're taking action, then you begin to see how a lot of these numbers play out, and you begin to see things a lot differently. They say the same thing. Once you bartend, you don't enjoy going to bars anymore, right? So once I began working on the side of making the lines and receiving the calls, Pez's Picks was born, and it kind of changed this, Jeff. And, I shifted from sports gambling to being more of a poker player. And we began to be more of a betting house than a betting player. And, I think at this time, there are advantages if you were in the world before it was legal, Jeff. I really do. I have a lot of friends that were in the world when it was in the darker, alleyways and stuff, when you were meeting guys, behind a Target parking lot on a Wednesday to collect some money. We've seen the different side of it. So parlays, Jeff. Parlays, the sucker play of my life. I cannot believe that it's legal to advertise people to bet parlays. They pay LeBron and Kevin Hart to tell people to put parlays in. Parlays, you might as well burn your money. If you hit 1 out of 100, you're lucky. And that's something that we resist doing on Pez's Picks, and it's for the people, Jeff. We're here for the people to beat the man, and you're better off sticking to straight bets. You have 50-50 chance no matter what it is, unless it's hockey or soccer regular season, you get a tie. We're not doing that. So at the end of the day, straight bets, and that's kind of where our logic was born. And, there are a lot of other painful stories that we can talk about as the months go on here.
As for me working with Pez on the podcast, the CEO of Fans First Sports Network said, I've got a guy I want to do a podcast. Here's his email address. Take care of it. And Pez's Picks was started.
There it was. There it was. Jeff, I'm not saying this is true, but I might have known this man from the gambling world in the 90s. I don't know if that's true or not, Jeff. I don't want to speak for anybody. In the gambling world, things used to be very private.
Yes.
You didn't talk about it. I remember being judged when people found out. If my wife said, "Oh, we were in South Philly, Bill has some business partners," so people would frown upon you. These same people, Jeff, they're betting with their wives now. They carry this stupid app on their phone. It's unbelievable. The government has taken the mafia's business over, Jeff. Right? In New Jersey here, the government's selling marijuana, alcohol, and gambling. There's nothing left for crime, right? The way to get rid of crime maybe is legalization. I don't know. Maybe that's the right thing, Jeff.
And Joe Silver T also wants us to talk briefly on Steelers and Aaron Rodgers and said, how will this season look?
Joe T, great question. We have our first Pez's Picks NFL total wins bet of the season. We crushed this last year, Jeff. If you remember, we're going to do every team. We'll eventually have another video out. I wanted to get this out. You could have had over 8.5 wins at plus 125. Today it's down to plus 110. I believe because Aaron Rodgers came in, from what I hear, ball is zipping out of his hand. He looks fit. I mean, is he crazy? Of course, but he seemed less crazy than he did at the Jets, Jeff. This guy seems all business. The thing I really like about this, he did not come in, squeeze him for money. I mean, he's taken a contract that a backup quarterback might have. I love their chances at 8.5 wins. We're going to really analyze this. There are two
What's
games.
The number with 10, Pez? What's the number for 10 wins? Or
10
10
wins.
and a half?
10.5 is plus 330. I'm not there yet, Jeff. And these numbers are generally very good.
Yes.
And I've conferred with a couple of colleagues of mine from the old days, and I think what you really have to look at a brutal schedule, right? When you're playing the Ravens, the Bengals, I mean their schedule is rough every week. So beginning of the season, we've got 5 winnable games. We got the Jets, Seahawks, Patriots, Vikings, Browns. I think we got to go 3-2, 4-1. 4-1 would be perfect. 3-2 minimum. And I think, they have to win at the Jets if we're going to get to the 9 wins. And I think Monday, December 15th, they have to beat the Dolphins at home. And I think if they do, we're going to get 9-10 wins. You get a little bit lucky. Maybe we get to 11 or 12. But I think it's going to be 10 wins. You got to beat the Dolphins December 15th, Monday night at home. Hopefully it's 5 degrees because we all know the stats of the Dolphins playing in the cold. And you got to win we got to win at the Jets. We got to win game 1. I mean, I think if they lose game 1, that's going to put us in a bad situation. I think if they win game 1, that number shoots up. You can split with the Ravens. You can split with the Bengals. I think the biggest games are against these teams that aren't the best teams, right? At the end of the day, you got to beat teams that you should beat, Jets and Dolphins being 2 of them. 8.5 plus 110. I love it. I mean, the stats better than me. What's it, 20 years? They've been 500 or better. I mean, it's stupid for us not to, Jeff.
It's been since 2003 was the last losing season. Yeah.
Teams should be better. My only concern, are we going to sign your defensive stud? I know the guy held out of these OTAs. I mean, without him, I think that this is a bad situation.
I think he'll be there. I think he'll be there when the games actually start. We'll say that.
I love it. I think this market's good for Rodgers. New York, a little bit too much for him. It brought a little more crazy out. Pittsburgh protects their people. He ain't getting cheap shotted by that media there. Smaller market, less stuff to do probably. And, the guy told us he got married, Jeff. What an amazing thing. That's why he wasn't there. I like that. Yeah. I thought, I criticized him. So what the hell is this guy doing in a hyperbolic chamber? He's getting married. Good for him. Get married, settles guys down. I think he's trying to seal his legacy. I honestly think if his zip is what we think it is, they're a Super Bowl contender. And, that's something that'll remain to be seen, of course.
All right, last question here for the Q&A. Jeff Binda, I hope I said that correctly, sent us a DM on Instagram. He said, I listen every week. Thank you, Jeff. We appreciate it. He said, please spend less time talking about golf. Jeff, I apologize. We spent 15 minutes at the top talking about the U.S. Open.
Rough week.
He said, that's a lame old man sport nowadays. I'm not going to go that far. He asked for more baseball bets. And thoughts and more NFL future bets discussion would be great. So,
well, we're to answer his question. Starting next week, we're going to begin doing every team in the league. We're going to give an analysis. We'll talk about Instagram. We'll talk about it on the show. Every team, we're going to put a play in or not put a play in. So, regardless if we're betting on them or not, we're going to analyze every team, and we'll have play or no play. I think last year we took about 16. I think we went like 11-5 or something like that, or 12-4 even, or something, if I can remember correctly. But at the end of the day, we're going to cover every team we got to before August. And injuries change this stuff. If any team gets a significant injury, you should be willing to pull that back. And if you do it timely, I think you can in a lot of cases. But these are fun. I think these are a great way to make money. It's a great investment. If you can afford to put $100 away right now, I mean, that's a good investment to get through the season and maybe cut down on your betting during the year. That's never a bad thing either.
Yeah. And I think maybe we'll do it in an organized fashion with the NFL, do it by division, 4 teams at a time. We'll break it down that way so everyone can kind of take a look. And if we're doing by division, I'll find a play for everyone. I'll find something. Even if it's an under bet. So if a team's going to suck and you're like, hey, I'll take the under 8.5. We'll look at it. We'll do it. That'll be next week and throughout the summer to get you geared up for football. But Pez, it's been a good show. Why don't you give us some final thoughts? What do you think?
Father's Day, Jeff. If you're a golf watcher, take the family out for breakfast. We talk about this a lot. If it's Father's Day and you're taking them out and paying, you got the whole day. That's it, right? You're the hero to start. Maybe take them to lunch because these guys probably don't take off till like 3:00 anyway. But Father's Day out there as fathers. I mean, we're not as good as the moms, Jeff, but we deserve one day a year.
There you go. Happy Father's Day to you, Pez. Happy
You too,
Father's Day
brother.
to all the fathers out there. Enjoy the U.S. Open. We'll be back next week for another Pez's Picks. Make sure you check him out on the Hot Route with Coach Kevin Smith on the Call Sheet Daily coming up. Pez, have a good weekend, man. We'll talk next week.
You too, brother.